This should be a fairly short video. Here is my CFE's computer. As you can tell by the title of the video, I got some new thermal pads in, and before I do the swap out, I want to do it before and after to make certain I have everything actually set up properly. It shouldn't be that difficult to swap out the thermal pads since I'm just going to line them all up together and make sure they're the right height and whatnot. But I do want to see if I actually gain any performance uplift. This is mostly for the memory and whatnot, but I still need to replace the pads either way because when I did general maintenance on my 3080, I ripped some of the pads and a few of them actually disintegrated. So it's kind of a miracle the card's been working just fine, but again, I need to have some type of benchmark to make certain that what I'm about to do actually worked, or obviously didn't work, because I need to make sure again that temps are relatively in check. So with that said, these are the thermal pads I got. They're cut specifically for my card, or at least the iterations of it. It's a dual slot. I could have gotten the 3-slot variant of the EVGA card, but that 3-slot version is fucking ugly. Now, yes, I won't be able to see that card, but that has to be probably the ugliest EVGA card they ever made. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't choose it. And plus, I kind of want a dual slot video card again. I kind of miss those. First thing we need is some idle temps. Here's what the core is idling at. Here's what the memory is currently idling at. So next thing to do is to run a benchmark tool that is consistent so we can see what the temps are like with that. So let me get the benchmark tool set up and come back. For that, I'm going to be using the NVIDIA New Dawn demo right here. One, because it's nice to look at, and two, even though it's an old tech demo, it more than hammers the video card. I mean, heck, I'm barely cracking 100 FPS with my 3080. With my 4080 in my main rig, I'm barely cracking 150. That's how demanding this demo is for what is essentially a demo from, I believe, like 012. So with that said, I'm going to let this run for like maybe 15-30 minutes and we'll come back. Also, most modern tech demos these days are fucking butt ugly with ugly characters, or it's just Star Wars. This is nice to look at. Alright, some time has passed. Here are what the temps are like for the core and whatnot. And here are what the temps are for the memory. So with that said, everything is obviously running fairly hot because this is an old tech demo that does push the card. Next thing to do is to run Sea of Thieves and see what everything runs like on there. Alright, so I'm in the game now. The temperatures tend to fluctuate, but this is generally where everything stabilizes at. This is with it capped at 144. That's because I'm trying to reduce some of the load on the card until I get the thermal pads replaced. But with that said, let's go to the temperature for the memory. As you currently can see, the temperature is definitely a little bit lower than the demo, but still fairly high nonetheless. But then again, it is within spec. So with that said, I'm actually going to uncap the frame rate because it'll put more of a load on the video card and whatnot. And it'll heat everything up just a little bit more. So let me go and do that and come back in a little while. Alright, just finished me Ash and Williams. Max temp on the core was 108. It's obviously 180 right now. Memory temps are more or less the same, surprisingly enough. So with that said, now to collect my loot, sell everything, and tear down the 3080 and do the swap out. Here is the 3080. It's the base model. So unfortunately, it doesn't have a back plate, but from what I've been able to look at or do a little research on, I can't see why I can't buy the back plate for the slightly upgraded model and just slap it onto here. I know they're actual third-party back plate that are meant for this thing. They're actually meant for water coolers, and those are like 20-30 bucks on eBay. I might just buy one of those. The main reason why I want a back plate on this thing is, well, I don't want to knock off any of these parts and whatnot, and of course also shorting. I know that's not really a thing, but having a backplate on a GPU, let alone something of the 80 class, is kind of nice and kind of stupid that this one doesn't have it. So with that said, I'm going to pop this thing apart, swap out the thermal pads, and come back. Alright, and with the card taken apart, you can see it's definitely needing new thermal pads. Another reason why it looks a little more uglier than it should is because I also had to use thermal paste when I went to reapply everything because I didn't have the pads when I initially rebuilt it to try and make sure I still have some form of thermal conductivity. With that said, as you can see, some of the pads here are completely broken. So that was not fun to work with. With that said, what I need to remember is that the 1mm pads go here, and here, which also correspond to here and here. And when it comes to actual pads and whatnot in general health, these guys are dead, these guys are dead, but the ones for like the memory and whatnot are actually perfectly fine. It's just these and these are completely cooked. So I'm going to clean this thing up both card wise, heatsink wise, reapply new pads, put everything back together, and hope that everything works. And when it comes to thermal paste, I'm using Noctua, whatever it is, the good stuff. So cooling wise, theoretically should more or less be the same. I'm not expecting any temperature difference on the core itself, but I'm hoping to have a difference in the memory and whatnot. So I'm going to get this thing cleaned up and come back. Alright, cleaned it up as much as I can. I'm not going to go full in depth because I don't want to risk damaging anything. And I'm not a YouTuber like Jay's 2 Cents or those type of people, so it doesn't really need to be crazy immaculate. It just needs to be cleaned off enough to where I still get proper thermal adhesion and everything just more or less works. I do have a few toothbrushes for cleaning this type of stuff off, but I can't find it and I don't really care to go and look for it. I'm going to try and clean the little smear off these a little bit more, but there's only so much I can do and only so much I'm willing to do because again, I don't want to risk damaging anything on this card. Alright, got the pads installed. Now I get the thermal paste applied and put the card back together and hope that I didn't break this thing. I don't think I did, but it's never really fun taking a card of this caliber apart. Even though it's not new by today's standards or top tier anymore, I still view it as a very expensive, very top tier card. Alright, before I put the side panels on and whatnot, I need to make sure the thing still works. So with that said, alright, looks like I still got an image, so we're good there. I'll let it get to the desktop, I'll get the secondary monitor set up, and we'll get the benchmarking underway. Alright, the idle temps look to be completely fine. The idle temps on the memory seem really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let this card sit for like 15 minutes or so just to see what will happen. I did just turn the thing on, but I want to make sure all the idle temps are fine. But it looks like everything seems to be working as intended. Alright, idle temperatures are rising. That is to be expected, but nothing out of the ordinary. Same thing with the memory. So with that said, now to actually hit the card and see what happens. Alright, a little time has passed, about like 30 minutes or so. Temps for at least the core are in check. I need to quickly look back, but I think the memory temps are also well within check, like a few degrees lower than what they initially were, which is what I actually wanted. Well, granted, it doesn't really matter. They go to the exact same temps. What really matters is that they stay consistent, and that's what it looks like it's doing right now, and that's what I really want. Looking back, I'm definitely looking at a significant difference, around 190 or so compared to 180 or so. Now, with that said, you could also say that the temps are skewed because the side panels are off right now and I'm giving the computer full fresh air. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to fully close up the computer and rerun these tests again just to see what will happen. Alright, got the side panels on. As you can see, they're mesh. You saw that at the very beginning. So they're not exactly the most airy side panels I would like because they also have to act like a dust filter and whatnot. But they're better than just a full sheet of glass. So with that said, just like before, I'm going to let everything idle for a little while. And we'll get the idle temps and then we'll reload up the new Dawn demo. I should have actually also played Sea of Thieves before putting the side panels on, but I wanted to rectify the error I did initially by doing that part of the video with the side panels off, giving a false sense of temps. Well, I mean, temps were definitely lower, but still, I need to rectify that error. Quick side tangent, I'm about 43 minutes into this video. Holy fuck, DSP is legit fucking retarded. Well, we all know DSP is fucking retarded, but holy fucking shit. I'm gonna have to put this video on the back burner for a little while because I can only handle so much stupid. As expected, the idle temps are a little bit more higher, but they're not too atrocious. At some point, I'll probably swap this case out because I don't like how the airflow in this case is designed, and I want to have something a little bit more easier to work with. Actually, no, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to reconfigure this case because I can actually move the RTX board up a few notches and get fans theoretically on the bottom. I just got to have something to raise it off the actual table and whatnot. So I got solutions I can do if I really want to maintain this case, and I probably do because this is like a $250 case, and I don't really want to get rid of it or not use it because I spent 250 bucks on it. But airflow wise, it's really not the best. But with that said, I'm going to run a new Dawn demo for a little while and I will come back. Alright, some time has passed. The temps on the core are more or less exactly the same, though 1 degree higher than last. Temps on the memory hover around 186 to around 190 depending on what's going on. And pads are working completely fine. I'm actually impressed. I'm getting about a 4 degree difference to around maybe a 10 degree difference, give or take. Which may not seem like much, but it's running a lot more cooler than it originally was. Now, of course, this is the new Dawn demo. I now gotta load in Sea of Thieves and see how Sea of Thieves handles it. Some time has passed. You will never guess. I encountered a cheater. Oh no. Either way, core temps overall are relatively fine. Generally, more or less about the same, if not just a little bit more higher, because with the new pads, everything's just a little bit more cooler and the card's able to be pushed just a tad bit more harder. And memory temps are well within check, around 180. I don't think I actually ever seen it go to about 190 like with the New Dawn demo, because like I said, the New Dawn demo is a fairly taxing demo compared to something like Sea of Thieves, so obviously the temps are going to be a little more in check. So it looks like the reapplied new thermal paste has in fact done its job, and I now have a cooler running 3080. So with that said, I can now have it fully on uncapped frame rate wise in Sea of Thieves and actually fully utilize my 3080 to its fullest potential. Even though my monitor can only go to 165 Hertz, but still. Alright, some time has passed. I played for a significant amount of time, and temperatures were very, very consistent, very stable, and well under check. I did not see the memory temps go no higher than 183, which means the pads I got absolutely worked.